to episode 57 of One Man's Opinion. Today I am reviewing Hartford Stage's production of Espejos Clean by Quitana and directed by Melissa Crespo, running through February 5th at the Hartford Stage Theater at 50 Church Street in Hartford, Connecticut. Hartford Stage has chosen to do something that, even as I think of it now as being daring and revolutionary for theater, it really shouldn't be by this point in our cultural history. Yet, at the same time, as I think about it, it is not surprising that this doesn't happen more often in theaters around the country. Though the United States has had the historic reputation of being called a melting pot, the true social climate throughout most of the country has been anything but. We are a country of racial and cultural division, where white people live in one neighborhood, black people live in another, Puerto Ricans live in one, Dominicans live in one, Chinese get their spot, and so forth and so forth. So, regardless of the positives and negatives I'm about to engage in with my review of Espejos Clean, I commend Artistic Director Milia Ben-Sisson, Managing Director Cynthia Ryder, Director Melissa Crespo, and the Hartford Stage Board of Directors and staff in committing to doing a play where, oh my God, the two characters speak in different languages. Seriously, it sounds stupid to even say it because it really shouldn't be such an original concept by this point in our history. It reminds me of when I interviewed Ben-Sisson's predecessor, Darko Tresnik, when he was directing Romeo and Juliet, and I made an observation about how the Montagues were predominantly white and the Capulets were predominantly black, and asked if that was intentional with the casting. He replied that it wasn't, and that shouldn't even need to be a question anymore, and that the United States' continuing issues with race perpetuates such continued observations when we should have long since evolved past this. This still rings true as the questions hang over Hartford. Will an audience that is predominantly privileged older white people embrace a play about two women speaking in different languages, one Spanish, the other English, and rely on supertitles to help them through the story's narrative? Another question is, will the significant Hispanic or Latino population of Hartford, about 45.5% of the city's population in some degree identify as such according to the U.S. Census Bureau, will they come and see it? Well, I hope they do, because Espejos Clean is an overall good play. Set at a beach resort in Cancun, Mexico, Adriana, played by Emma Ramos, is a hospitality manager at the resort, supervising much of the staff. She has been working there for a long time, having started when she was 19 and has worked her way up the ranks. Then there is Sarah, played by Kate Abbruzzese. Sarah is with her family from Vancouver and is at the resort to celebrate her sister's wedding. Crespo has created two very different women who both have suffered serious abuses in their childhood, each of them dealing with their post-traumatic stress in different ways. Adriana ran away from home and invested herself entirely into her work, shunning any serious social relationships. Sarah, meanwhile, has drowned her pain in alcohol, drugs, and apathy. During a severe thunderstorm, Adriana gets word that her abusive father has died and in a fit of passion acts out in a way that gets misinterpreted by Sarah, who witnesses what is supposed to be a secret tryst. In a #MeToo world, this scene and its aftermath evolves the message of the continuing struggle of being a woman alone and not able to say what needs to be said or ask what needs to be asked because of the inability to speak the other's language. What works with Espejos Clean is that the two women are clearly defined. We can tell pretty early on who these two women are, where they come from, what they've suffered, and how they deal with their long-standing issues. The play is only 1 hour 45 minutes, and in the first half, all the groundwork of what will eventually be a cultural battle and the inability to communicate with each other is laid out like a well-played chess game. It's the second act where things get a little odd, as there are several unnecessary fantasy sequences that don't add anything significant to the women's development. It bogs down the narrative and unnecessarily clouds what is real and what isn't for the audience. It feels like Crespo didn't have enough faith in herself as a playwright to trust her work in the first half of the play, and needed to re-emphasize that Adriana and Sarah are seriously suffering from their past trauma. She doesn't need to do that because she did so well creating the characters already. She's an exceptional playwright and should trust herself a little more here. If the fantasy sequences were cut, It would trim the play by about 15 minutes into a healthy 90-minute one-act, and not to lose any of the emotional depth and power of the piece. Ramos and Abbruzzese are both good. Their two disparate personalities are dynamic and create great character contrast, with Ramos' stoic but sensitive Adriana and Abbruzzese's reactionary and energetic Sarah. Yes, it's going to be difficult for some audiences to follow the action on stage while reading the supertitles, but if you read it fast enough, you'll not miss much of the action on stage. Speaking of stages, I love Mariana Sanchez's scenic design, especially of the resort pool and how it is portrayed with a little in-pool table and seats. Colleen Doherty's lighting design, and Daniela Hart and Uptownworks' sound design, and Lisa Renkel's projection design all come together nicely for a massive sequence of thunderstorms. Espejos Clean is a great play about two women trying to find peace in a sometimes vile world, and the only people who can possibly understand can't because of a language barrier, and how out of necessity have to fight past it. It can use some editing, but it is an overall compelling and moving piece. But I am only one man's opinion, so be sure to leave yours in the comments below. If you want to see Espejos Clean, I'll leave a link with ticket information in the description. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and click the notification bell to be alerted to future reviews. My next review will be the new Broadway play, The Collaboration. Thank you for watching, and I will see you at the theater.